He's starting early today. It's Dan the Man. He is deemed today complete annihilation day. What you sniffing, Danny? What are you sniffing down there, Danny? What are you finding, Dan? Morning, everybody. Welcome back to Sawmill. My name's Bill. This is Pirate Solutions Forestry. And speaking of Danny on his self-deemed annihilation day, he's hunting over here. You can't see him. I've been annihilated with orders over the last 4 or 5 days. So I've got to get to milling. I've been trying to work on some firewood, and we've had real sketchy weather, some super high wind days. High wind days aren't the best for me for milling. Running a manual mill, high wind days push the saw head all around, and it can mash the band into things, and it's just not the best scenario for a manual mill, especially one that's super level and that rolls really easy. The wind can push it around a lot. So on some of those high wind days, I work on firewood. My campwood bins are pretty much sold out. So yesterday I put a bunch of bucket loads in them, and now we got to get to milling, starting to mill some of these customer orders. I am still running that carbide band. I was going to pull it off this morning and go over to a brand new Stella Cut band, but to be honest with you guys, it's still peeling my fingernail off. I don't know how many board feet we've got through that thing, but it's a lot. This current order that we're going to work on is actually a pretty unique order. Not for me if I was building it myself, but for a customer to ask for. They are a high-end landscaper, Paul Moskowski Landscaping, and they're finishing the inside of a 16 by 12 shed. So he wanted inch material, rough sawn, for his guys to put up inside the shed. His problem was that he was afraid of shrinkage. Shrinkage! He was afraid of shrinkage. So he asked me what I would do to mitigate that as a builder, and I said I would shiplap the boards. And then he asked me if I would do it for him. I said, well, that's going to be a little bit expensive for you. You know, if I was your guys, I'd just do it right in the field. And he pushed and pushed and pushed. I threw a price at him. He didn't even balk at it. So I have got to cut 400 board feet of rough sawn interior 1-inch material. I've decided on 1x10s because I have 2 logs that will easily cant out at 10 inches, and I don't like doing 1x12s for cupping. So we're going to cut 400 board feet of 1x10s, and then when it's all said and done and it's not raining out, I will pull one of my table saws out in the driveway and throw a dado stack on it and just run shiplap on both sides really quick and ship it off to the customer. So we're going to get started with this log. I've decided because of the 16-foot dimension, he's going to stagger the joints. He said he didn't need them to be all lineals. So I decided on 12-footers, 12-footer, 12-foot-6. What I would do is I would do the interior 12-foot walls first, and then use everything left over, stagger my joints. You could do a nickel gap on the shiplap. I think that looks the best. Whether he'll do that or not, or his guys will get into it that closely or not, I'm not sure. But we are just going to cut a straight shiplap on both sides, and if they want to gap it, they can. They will gap themselves. I will promise you that over time as they dry out. But we got this candidate up on the mill here. Pretty straightforward process. I did mark myself out some dummy lines on the end of it because I do want to maximize what I have going on. And I also have to take this afternoon and sit down and fill out the chalkboard with everything that I've got going on, because right now I've got a lot going on and weather is sketchy for the next 5 or 6 days. So I've got to try to maximize what I do. But let's get at this one. All right, so we get the mill warming up, and I'm going to flow pretty heavy water at it because I want to use up my water. We're going to get some freezing temperatures the end of the weekend, so I want to use up what I have for water in there. I have to start mixing that with like RV antifreeze. I just happen to have a bottle of it, and I can mix it with the water and the solvent that I run instead of running windshield washer fluid. You only have to mix a little bit in there to keep it from freezing. Our freezing temperatures right now are only going to be just a little bit here or there. I'm going to show you how we're going to cut this apart. So I've actually, like I said, I got some dummy marks on the end of the log, which are basically 5 inches out from the center of the log for my 10 by 10 camp. I'm going to come down to that mark. I don't know where that is. I also have the log centered on the toe board down there. To explain centering the log, we're not trying to level the top. All right, number one, it's the dumbest misconception unless you're doing parallel grain sawing like Robin Milton does a lot of time, or parallel bark sawing. In this case, we're centering the cone of the log so that like the pith is in the same position on both ends. A lot of times the pith's not in the center of the log, so sometimes you can't go by the pith. So what we do is this end is 19 inches, that end is 17 inches, that end is jacked up about 1 inch to split the difference. It doesn't make any sense to level the top when the bottom is already level on the bunks. You know, all you're doing is undoing the level on the bottom to level the top. So the top doesn't need to be level unless you're doing parallel bark sawing, which we are not. We're just centering the cone so we get the best yield. And because this log's so symmetrical, when I flip it 90 degrees, I'll leave that toe board up, and it'll get me really, really close to being perfectly centered. I am right at my line right now. That is, we're going to call that, we'll call it 14 and a half right there. I'm going to go ahead and just scribe myself a mark there. And what that is the outside of my 10-inch pan. Everything I cut is going to be 4/4. So I'm going to come up an inch and an eighth. So now I'm at 15 and 5/8. And I'm going to make another mark. And I'm going to see whereabouts that is. I think I can steal one more. So we're going to come up to 16 and 3/4. I could almost get a 1 by 10 out of that. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to peel that off, take the slab wood off, and then we'll peel off 2 flitches and we'll spin it. If you're manually milling, just take reference to where you are. I know I'm at 16 and 3/4, so I'm going to be dropping down to 15 and 5/8. We'll do back-to-back flitches here. I'm doing one thing a little different today. I got some sawhorses set up for my flitches because I know I'm going to get so many. So rather than just throwing them on the ground and having to deal with them later, I'm just going to put them on these sawhorses for now. And then when it comes time to edge them, I can grab them all, throw them on with the bobcat. A little bit of a carry deal here, but it's not too bad. Someday when I grow up, I'll have cool roller tables like Jerry at Bigelow Woodcraft, or I'll get my buddy Shannon at Temple Hill Sawmill to lend me wormy so I have a swamper here, but we don't have that now. So let's come back. We're going to spin this thing 90 degrees. All I'm doing right now is trying to maximize what I get out of this log. Now, typically, I would come 5 inches out from the center again because that gives me the option later of doing my cant in a different orientation if there's something bad inside the log. This one, I don't foresee that. So what I'm going to do is I actually have a red line where I can hit my 10 inches. We're going to see if we can clean it up right there. That's going to give us the max stack when we cut down through the stack, which would be our fourth side. You'll see it in a minute, but we will be cutting through this from what's on the bottom right now down. What I'm cutting right now will end up being on the bunks at the end. So we're actually going to come to that red line, and this red line indicates where my cant will be. Now, I don't know that this will clean up all the way down, but this is the best place to start. So we're going to see where we are. 16 and 5/8. I can come down a little bit. I'm going to come down just a teeny bit more. I'm going to come to 16 and a quarter. In theory, the other end of the log is smaller, so this might not be a perfect board, but it's as close as I can get to a start point. There's nothing above this. We're going to take it right there, so this will be a one-cut side. I'm going to take a couple of quick measurements because I could, if I want to get rid of all my wane here, there's only a little bit of wane here, but I could take one flitch right now and make this perfect. Let's see how wide we are before we do that. All right, so I'm only 8 inches wide. I need it. It doesn't make any sense for me to leave that on there and then have that be my bottom board. I'm going to go ahead and take a flitch off that. This one will end up being a 1x8. It won't be a 1x10. Or I can give them a 1x10 down that end. If the wane's really close, some of that could come off with the shiplap too, but I think this will just end up being a 1x8. So we're going to go ahead and go back. We're going to drop down to 15 and 1/8. So we'll drop 1 1/8 inches to get a full 4/4 board. So that got rid of all my wane. I think I'll probably end up edging this to 10 inches and then cut it down and give it to, they can use it as a stagger board on that other wall. So now we're going to spin it again and we're going to set our width. The reason I'm leaving my saw head running is my battery is a little low, so I'm just letting it charge. I'm going to bring my saw turner up first so the log doesn't roll away when I move my clamp out. Now I'm going to put my toe board down, number one. I'm going to put our clamps down below my 10-inch mark. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come right to 10 inches, because that's our target. And we're going to see how many flitches we can steal above this. So that's my 10. That's 11 and 8. That's 12 and a quarter. That looks like a good place to start. Let's start right there. I don't know what to say about this carbide band, guys. This carbide band is still cutting exceptionally well. All right, we'll come back and we're going to burn off the 2 flitches. We'll be dropping down to 11 1/8 and then 10. I'm going to offload these 2 flitches, and then we're going to spin this thing up, and we will set scale as high up. Let the scale tell us where we're going to start cutting our boards out of, and we'll cut 4/4 boards all the way through it. All right, so we're going to flip this thing up. I thought I'd give you a little bit different angle so we can talk about the 4/4 scale after we get this thing flipped up. When you flip it up, we're going to raise our stops all the way up. We're going to take our clamp, we're going to go all the way down, go in about third of the quarter of the way, third of the way. You start raising up, it'll start picking the log up. We're going to back out and raise as we back out. And then when it starts to tilt, we're going to start coming back in and raise the flips. We're going to want our clamps, our stops all the way down. Unless this was super tall, and then I'd leave them up a little bit till later. You're going to clamp it nice and low. Now, just to give myself an idea before I show you the scale, I want to see where my top cut's going to be clean. So it's about this corner right here, clean. That's around 13 inches. So we're going to see where on 4/4 scale 13 inches is. Now, 4/4 scale, I have a magnetic scale here that you adjust by sliding up and down. Right now, you would be setting your 4/4 scale off of the bunks. Okay, so you can come all the way down to inch or 2 1/8 or 3 1/4. Put your red line there. That's where your cuts would be off the bunk. And then set your 4/4 scale. However, on my Norwood, I have a 4/4 scale right here that is set off the bunks. And when I say set off the bunks, what that means is when I get to my last board, it's going to cut a 1-inch board. If I wanted to do it off the top of the log, I could do it off the top of the log, figure out where I'm going to clean up, set my mill there, and then adjust my adjustable scale or my magnetic scale to my 4/4 mark there, and then it will cut 4/4 boards until you get to the bottom, and whatever's left over at the bottom is left over. I like to end with my clean side down, and I want my last board to be exactly what I'm cutting. So I want my 4/4 scale set off of the bunks. We're going to go up to 13. Now this is a little bit of a tweener. We're going to kind of lose a board here because on 4/4 scale, the 4/4 mark is at 13 3/8. So we're going to go in and we're going to see what that looks like. So it is going to be some type of board, but it probably won't be good enough for this order. So we're going to start there. That means that our second cut is going to be down at like 12 1/4, and that will be a clean. It'll be clean on one side, and it'll have wane on the other side, I believe. So let's go ahead and fire up. We're going to close our throat down a little bit to give ourselves some more support. And we're going to make our top cut right there on 4/4 scale off of the bunks at 13 3/8. Now, on my next cut, I am going to have wane on that board, but you guys have to understand, I had to make a decision on which way to go. If I cleaned up the top and came down below that wane and then set my 4/4 scale there, all I'm doing is destroying the board on the bottom. There's no sense to do that because that bottom board would not come out 4/4. So now all we're going to do is just cut right down on 4/4 scale, and until we don't have any clearance anymore, we'll have to offload a couple of boards and then we can finish it out. Now I got to do a little work here. There's no sense in watching me work. We're going to take all these off. We got to go dump our slab wood, and then we're going to throw some of our edgings up here. I kind of want to edge the ones that have a straight side on them first, and just cut them right at 10 and add those to the stack. Those will be going on there after I take off the slab, after I go dump the slab wood in my slab wood bin. And right behind the camera right now, I have a 14-foot long bunk with sleepers on it. That's where everything is going to go for now. So I got to do a little bit of work, and I'll be back with you in a few. So through the magic of video editing, you missed the edging off. I ended up getting a couple of 1x10s and like 4 1x8s. That's all done. We're going to go ahead and finish milling this one out, and we'll tally the whole thing up, and we'll see how this log came out, and we'll compare it to the Doyle scale and see how we did. Big boom, big bad. I think we broke the band. So I think we finally broke that carbide band. We're going to have to check it out, do a blade swap, waiting for a customer to come out, and then we'll see how we did. So I'll give you a look at the carnage. We did break the band. You can see it right there. Also, when that band broke, we threw both belts. That belt got thrown and that belt got thrown. That's good. Yeah, it's going to take me a few minutes to put Humpty Dumpty back together again and get a Stella Cup band on here. So stay tuned. So that carbide band broke right on the weld, which we knew there was something wrong with this band anyway. It also took out a belt. Took a big chunk out of that belt when it broke. I pulled out my backup belts, picked the best one that I had to replace that one, and threw it on. I'm getting kind of low on belts, so I'm gonna have to order some more. But yeah, that one's all done, and we got a Stella Cut band on there that I had in my is not quite dull yet pile. We're gonna cut the rest of this with that, and if I see anything weird, then when we throw the next log up, we will change that out. So I did not change the height of my mill. Not that I couldn't go right back to that 4/4 mark, but sure. The height of the mill is the same. We're just going to go finish this cut, make our last cut at 1 inch, and we'll wrap this one up. And I got to go pull another log and hopefully meet with a customer who's coming out. He wanted 2 12-foot 1x8s, and we got those out of our edgings. Hopefully everything goes good here. The band feels okay. I looked at the teeth. There were a couple of weird spots on the teeth. It's not perfect, but hopefully we can manage this last cut here. 1 inch. Make sure all your stops and everything are down when you make this cut. This band certainly feels sharp enough to get through another log. I'll take a look down those cut lines and make sure that there are no waves. No, cut laser beam flat. That's perfect. So let's tally this up and see how we came out. So according to the Doyle scale, we were supposed to get 127 board feet out of that log. We got 13 1x10s and 4 1x8s. It is 164. 13's 130, 100, I'm sorry, 162 board feet. So we were supposed to get 127. We got 162. Good jump start on the order. Like I said, I need 400 board feet. The other log is going to do at least, on the Doyle scale, it was supposed to do like 260. So we're going to have plenty of wood. And then we'll get at the shiplap side. Hopefully this customer shows up pretty quick here. I got to shoot him a quick text just to let him know that we're out back so he's not up ringing my doorbell trying to figure out where I am. I always appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. I hope if you got anything out of that, it was how to maximize your yield from the log. Now, I did see a post the other day saying something to the effect of old sawyers never put a mark on their log. They do everything by eye. Well, I know what I'm doing, and it helps me to go in there and in 30 seconds, throw a tape on there, find the middle, and mark out my cant. I pull logs based on what I'm looking to get out of them. So I don't think it's ever a bad idea just to go ahead and draw yourself a little guideline on there. It helped me do that log in the fewest amount of cuts and get the most amount of yield. I'm not messing around, taking too much off the top or the side or something like that, and then putting a bunch of weighing on boards and everything else. It just helps me maximize my jacket cuts. And I hope that helps you guys too. We got some stickers out of it also. We have to sticker, well, hopefully this customer coming out takes 2 of those 4, and I only have to sticker a couple of them for Brian Carroll. And then the rest of this stuff is going over here on a bunk to wait to be turned into shiplap. But always appreciate the watch, guys. And for now, the customer's showing up as we speak. And there goes Danny to say hi to him. And it's Pirate Solutions out.